I've heard people say that Islam is a racist religion. So where do you think this is coming from?
Well, I would first of all say that we shouldn't peg any religion as being inherently racist. I wouldn't say that about Judaism or Christianity, much less Islam.
Yeah.
There are people who can take religion based upon their socio-political environment and come to understandings or theology that has racist implications, there's no doubt about it. I think that many people have misinterpreted or thought that Islam is anti-black based upon the so-called Arab slave trade that took place in Africa, which much of that is misunderstood because, again, when many people think of the Arab slave trade that took place in East Africa, they're talking about Arabs as if Arabs were white people, or that the slavery was based just upon the modern construct of race. There's one thing about Arabs during this time is that Arabs were equal opportunity slave owners. Arabs that owned other Arabs as slaves, right? Arabs primarily enslaved European people or lighter-skinned women and people. Many of them were concubines. There's also in Egypt something called, which rose up, the Mamluk dynasty that rose up. Those were white people that were enslaved, white men that were enslaved, right? There also was the enslavement of people in East Africa. However, two of the more prolific people involved in that slave trade were described as being as dark or darker than the people they were enslaving, right? So people tended to look at it or think that, well, the slave trade or people involved in enslaving people was similar to the enslavement that Europeans did when they went into West Africa and the transatlantic slave trade. That simply is not is not the majority or not the major impetus behind that type of enslavement that was going on. Of course, I'm not saying that the slavery that the Arabs were involved in that time was all good, because obviously it wasn't. And of course, it's un-Islamic to enslave one's own Muslim brother in particular, like what's taking place in Libya right now, where Muslims are involved in enslaving other Muslims. But I think that's some of the reason why some people may tend to look at or think that Islam is somehow anti-black, because of them looking at these isolated incidences and trying to superimpose them on 1,400 years of Islamic civilization.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.